One wrong move, and his visions would become reality. Nebuchadnezzar had seen everything in his lifetime, from becoming one of the most powerful kings, to seeing 3 men come out of a furnace completely unharmed, to then suffering from insanity. He saw a vision of him being an animal, a tree, even a statue. But what happened at the end of his life will completely terrify you. He was once only a prince, the son of Nabopolassar, the king of Babylon. Babylon was rising. For years, Assyria had ruled over the lands, but Nabopolassar had broken free, and now his son was being trained for war. Nebuchadnezzar put on his armor, strapped his sword to his side, and walked out to the training yard, where his father's generals were waiting to teach him how to lead an army. He learned how to read a battlefield, how to move thousands of men at once, and how to strike before his enemies even knew he was coming. He grew into a sharp, fearless young general, and soon his father trusted him with command of the entire Babylonian army. Egypt, under Pharaoh Necho, had grown bold, marching its armies north to claim land along the Euphrates River. Nabopolassar was growing old and could no longer ride into battle, so he sent his son in his place. Nebuchadnezzar gathered his commanders before him. Men, the Egyptians think Babylon is weak. We will show them the truth. He mounted his horse, raised his hand, and led the army north toward a city called Carchemish. When the 2 armies finally met, the ground shook under thousands of marching feet. The Egyptians struck first, but Nebuchadnezzar's forces held the line and pushed back with terrifying force, fleeing south in defeat. Nebuchadnezzar had won his first great victory, and the whole region now knew his name. But in the middle of his triumph, a messenger rode hard into camp with news from home. "My king, your father, Nabopolassar, has died." Nebuchadnezzar said nothing for a moment. Then he turned to his men. "Hold this position. I must return to Babylon." He rode back across the desert as fast as his horse could carry him, and when he arrived at the gates of the city, the priests and officials were already waiting. They placed the crown upon his head. He was now King Nebuchadnezzar, ruler of Babylon. He did not rest long on his throne. He turned his armies west and south, marching into kingdom after kingdom, demanding tribute and loyalty. Many bowed, some refused. Among those who refused was the kingdom of Judah. The king of Judah had once paid tribute to Babylon, but he turned against Nebuchadnezzar and looked instead to Egypt for help. Nebuchadnezzar gathered his army once more. "Men, we march to Jerusalem. They will learn what happens to those who break their word." His soldiers surrounded the city, cutting off its food and water until the people inside grew weak and desperate. After the siege, the gates of Jerusalem were broken open. Nebuchadnezzar's soldiers poured into the city, into the temple of God itself, and carried out its golden vessels and treasures. Among the captives marched out of the city that day were a group of young noblemen, chosen for their intelligence and strength. One of them was a boy named Daniel. Daniel and his 3 friends were brought to Babylon and placed in the king's own court to be trained in the language and the wisdom of the Babylonians. They were given new names, and they were given a place at the king's table. But one of the king's officials soon noticed something strange. While the other young men ate the rich food and drank the wine from the palace, Daniel refused. "Please," Daniel said, "test us for 10 days. Give us only vegetables and water, and then compare us to the others." The official agreed. 10 days later, Daniel and his friends looked healthier and stronger than all the young men who had eaten from the king's table. From that day forward, God gave Daniel wisdom and understanding, far beyond anyone else in Babylon. One night, the king woke suddenly, his body covered in sweat. He had seen a dream so vivid, so terrifying, that sleep would not return to him. In the morning, he called for his magicians, his sorcerers, and his wise men. "I have had a dream, and it troubles me. Tell me what I saw and what it means." The wise men bowed low. "Tell us the dream, Your Majesty, and we will interpret it for you." Nebuchadnezzar slammed his hand on the throne. "No, if you are truly wise, you will tell me both the dream and its meaning. If you cannot, you will all be torn apart." The wise men trembled. "No man on earth can do what you ask." Furious, the king ordered that every wise man in Babylon be put to death, including Daniel and his friends, who had not even been brought before him yet. When the soldiers came for Daniel, he calmly asked to speak with the king. "Give me time, and I'll tell you the dream and its meaning." That night, Daniel and his 3 friends prayed, asking God to reveal the secret to them, and God answered. Daniel was brought before the king. "You have dreamed of a great statue with a head of gold, a chest of silver, a belly of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of iron mixed with clay. A stone struck the statue and shattered it, grew into a mountain that filled the whole earth." Nebuchadnezzar's face went pale. It was exactly what he had seen. Daniel continued, "You, O king, are the head of gold. After you will come other kingdoms, weaker than yours, until a final kingdom is set up by God himself, one that will never be destroyed." The king rose from his throne and bowed before Daniel. "Surely your God is the God of gods, the Lord of kings." He made Daniel a ruler over the wise men of Babylon. And at Daniel's request, his 3 friends were also given high positions in the kingdom. But what Nebuchadnezzar didn't know was that the dream he had just heard, the warning about his own kingdom one day crumbling, was not going to be enough to humble him. Babylon grew wealthier and stronger with each passing year. Towering walls rose around the city. Hanging gardens bloomed above the streets, and golden temples gleamed under the sun. Nebuchadnezzar looked out over his empire from his palace and felt that there was nothing he had not conquered. One day, the king ordered his workers to build an enormous statue, 90 feet tall, covered entirely in gold. He had it placed on the plain of Dura, just outside the city. Then he sent messengers to every province of his kingdom. "Gather all the governors, the officials, and the leaders. When the music plays, every person must bow down to the statue. Anyone who refuses will be thrown into a blazing furnace." On the day of the ceremony, thousands of people stood across the plain, facing the golden statue. The music began to play, and one by one, the people fell to their knees. But 3 men remained standing, Daniel's friends, the same 3 young men who had once refused the king's food. Furious officials rushed to the king. "Your Majesty, there are men who refuse to bow to your statue." Nebuchadnezzar called for them at once. "Is it true that you refuse to serve my gods or bow to the statue I have set up? I will give you one more chance. If you do not bow, you will be thrown into the fire immediately. And what God will be able to save you then?" The 3 men answered without fear.
"Our God is able to save us from the fire. But even if he does not, we will not bow down."
The king's face turned red with rage. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual and commanded his strongest soldiers to bind the men and throw them in. This was the very moment the story began with. The flames roaring, the soldiers dying from the heat, and the 3 men falling into the fire. As Nebuchadnezzar stared into the furnace, watching 4 men walk freely through the flames, he rushed closer to the opening.
"Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out!"
The 3 men stepped out of the fire. Their clothes were untouched, their hair was not singed, and there was not even the smell of smoke on them. Nebuchadnezzar stood before his entire court and declared, "Blessed be the God who sent his angel and saved his servants. No other God can save in this way." He gave the 3 men even greater positions of honor in his kingdom. Yet even after seeing this miracle with his own eyes, Nebuchadnezzar's pride did not leave him. Not long after, another dream came to disturb his sleep. He saw a great tree, tall enough to reach the sky, visible from every corner of the earth, full of fruit, giving shelter to animals and birds. Then a voice called out from heaven, "Cut down the tree, but leave the stump in the ground, bound with iron and bronze. Let him be drenched with the dew of heaven." and let his mind be changed from that of a man to that of an animal, until 7 years pass. Once again, the king called for Daniel.
My lord, the dream you saw is grave. Tell me its meaning at once!
And he was silent for a moment.
My king, I wish this dream were about your enemies and not about you. Continue. It is a terrible meaning. You are that tree, your majesty. It is a tree that reaches the heavens.
But you will be driven away from people, and you will live like an animal, eating grass like the cattle until 7 years have passed, until you acknowledge that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of men. Daniel pleaded with him, Please, your majesty, turn from your pride. Show mercy to the poor. Perhaps then this judgment can be delayed. 1 year passed, and the warning was not forgotten, but it had also not changed the king's heart. One evening, Nebuchadnezzar walked along the roof of his royal palace, looking out over the towers, the temples and the streets of Babylon spread out beneath him.
Is this not the great Babylon I have built?
By my own mighty power, for the glory of my majesty. The words had barely left his mouth when a voice thundered down from heaven. King Nebuchadnezzar, your royal authority has been taken from you. Before he could speak again, his mind began to change. His thoughts twisted and scattered, and the man who had once commanded armies and ruled an empire was suddenly driven out from among his own people. He fled into the fields surrounding the city. His hair grew long and wild like the feathers of an eagle. His nails grew long like the claws of a bird, and he crawled on the ground, eating grass like the cattle, sleeping outside under the open sky. For 7 long years, the king of Babylon lived this way, while his kingdom carried on without him. When the 7 years finally came to an end, Nebuchadnezzar lifted his eyes toward heaven, and at that very moment, his sanity returned to him. He rose to his feet, a man once again. He made his way back toward the city, and his officials and nobles, recognizing him, rushed to restore him to his throne. His kingdom and his glory were given back to him, even greater than before. Standing in his palace once more, robed and crowned, Nebuchadnezzar lifted his hands toward heaven and spoke before his entire court.
Great is the Lord, who humbles the proud and exalts the humble. I praise your name forever, for you have restored my kingdom. Let all the earth declare his glory. I praise the King of heaven. All his works are right, and his ways are just. He humbles those who walk in pride.